bird's-eye overview of the new security landscape and its impact on the world and ASEAN in particular. I think you begin with one keyword, two keywords exactly: uncertainty and unpredictability of world order right now in a changing landscape, changing security and political landscape. You identify key challenges to the so-called liberal rule-based world order, including Trump's doctrine, if you like, the violation of international norms, disruptive technology, such as cybersecurity and geopolitical rivalry between the US and China. He argues, very interestingly, that the relationship between US and China can be conceptualized as G2, the G2 relationship. Previously, I asked scholars called the term chimerica, and some scholars even suggest that the world is moving toward bipolar world order. To what extent is the world is bipolar world or G2? We can get on this later. In the second part, Mr. Thammasat discussed the dynamic change and challenges in geopolitics and security landscape in the Asia-Pacific, such as the rise of China, Russia pivot to Asia, if you like, the rise of Indo-Pacific geopolitical competition, which highlight China's more assertive strategic directions in the region. Last but not least, he talked about the ASEAN centrality and make very useful recommendations for Thailand as an ASEAN chair this year. For example, ASEAN should link all dialogue partners and link great powers concepts such as the Indo-Pacific and the BRI and so on and so forth. We also suggest that Thailand and ASEAN should seriously play or expand its role of mediator, the role as a mediator in regional conflict. We highlight that ASEAN should deal with trade, in particular non-tariff issues head on. Last but not least, we talk about a single voice, the role of ASEAN as a single voice in the world politics nowadays. Okay. Thank you very much. Let us move on to our third speaker, Dr. Martin Cox.
Working. I'm personal reflection. And as I said, I've lived in 4 ASEAN dialogue partners and 2 ASEAN member states. I first want to talk about what I'm not going to talk about in my 15 minutes. So first of all, when I talk about ASEAN, I'm not talking about Southeast Asia. ASEAN is not Southeast Asia. And I'm not going to talk about ASEAN as an actor. ASEAN is a forum. It's a forum for Southeast Asian states to engage their dialogue partners, and it's a forum for Southeast Asian states for collective diplomatic position. But ASEAN is not an actor. ASEAN is a forum, and ASEAN certainly is not a middle power. Second, the new security landscape. It's not necessarily that new, what we're seeing. If you look at major powers, are always assertive to try to shape their environments to their interests. The more powerful they become, the more assertive or aggressive they become. Rivalry is when there's more than one major power asserting their interests in ways that are not aligned with each other. So if you look at history, we've gone through major power rivalries, periods of hegemony, not too many periods of major power agreement, and back to major power rivalry. ASEAN itself's own history is a perfect example of this. ASEAN was created during the Cold War, but the member states of ASEAN didn't have to make a choice between the U.S. and the USSR because they already made that choice, and that determined who would be the right to join. Okay. So if you look, as I say, ASEAN during the Cold War was on one side. During the post-Cold War period of U.S. hegemony, there was no choice to be made about either. There was a period of U.S. unilateralism And that was also the peak that ASEAN developed its ASEAN larger regional focus through the ASEAN Regional Forum and so forth. What is new is for the first time ASEAN as a forum that's going to have to manage great power rivalry that's going to shape Southeast Asia. That's what's new, not major power rivalry in ASEAN. This is the first time that Southeast Asian states may make different choices, or ASEAN member states may make different choices. And that's new. The Prime Minister Lee, when he was chair of ASEAN, put out a problem. We don't want to make a choice between the U.S. and China anytime soon, but that choice may be coming towards us. I would imagine Thai officials planning this year's ASEAN may have the same worries in their minds. So what's new is, as I say, for the first time, Southeast Asian ASEAN member states may make different choices on how they position themselves in what is a period of the beginning, what I think will be a generational major power rivalry. Going back, major power rivalry and major power assertiveness. Last week, the European Commission released a public report on their recommendations for how the European Union should position themselves in foreign and strategic policy going forward for the next 30 years. And in that report, for the first time, the European Commission mentioned that in some areas, China is a strategic rival of the European Union. That's not because the European Union is an ally of the U.S. That's because, according to the Commission, particular actions of China globally are seen to be contradictory to the EU interests and hence in a rivalry. It certainly wasn't because Donald Trump was saying China's our rival in the European Commission, who doesn't particularly like the President Commander-in-Chief of the U.S. So if you look at this U.S.-China rivalry, and not only an assertiveness on both parties as well as other major powers, in some senses I think it's good for ASEAN and Southeast Asian states. If you look at the last 10 years as this kind of rivalry has been arrived at, it started before Trump and will continue long after he's there, no longer president, even if he gets a second term. If you look, there has been much greater engagement by dialogue partners and would-be dialogue partners with ASEAN as well. So the United Kingdom certainly is positioning itself, assuming Brexit goes through, to try to be the 11th dialogue partner. France, Germany, and many other countries are there. So for Southeast Asian states and ASEAN as a whole, there is a benefit to this greater period of rivalry, with Southeast Asia being the only diplomatic game, ASEAN being the only diplomatic game in Southeast Asia. Let's say the U.S. is engaging more, China without a doubt, and the United Kingdom, France, Australia, Russia, you can add the list. And there is an element of rivalry. So China says, I want ASEAN and China defense exercise together, and then the United States says, we would like the U.S. and ASEAN defense exercise together. The Chinese say, we'd like the ASEAN and China defense ministers meeting informal, and the Japanese say, hey, we'd like one of those too. So at the moment, the ASEAN Secretariat problem isn't irrelevant or being ignored by major powers, trying to keep them away. Right? That's good, especially for smaller states who don't want to have weaker access to major powers. They don't want to be ignored. At the moment, ASEAN and Southeast Asia may face the other problem. Too much attention, not enough, not too little. That is particularly because certainly in the United States, and I think I know the discussions in Beijing much less well, Southeast Asian states, or most of them, are seen to be in play. How they're going to position themselves in this major power rivalry if it continues is not clear. It's very clear how Australia has positioned itself, that won't change. It's very clear how Japan has positioned itself, that won't change. It's very clear how Taiwan can only have one position, and that won't change. Even with India, pretty clear. Southeast Asian states are much less sure. When we get changes of power like we've had in Malaysia and in the Philippines, we see even within those countries who lead depends on which way they may shape The Southeast Asian states, I think, are seen to be in play in ways that Australia, New Zealand, and the countries around Southeast Asia are not. Part of the reason why there's so much interest. So that's good for ASEAN and Southeast Asian states, and you can play one off the other as railway projects in Southeast Asia between Japan and China. But I think it's bad for ASEAN, and I think as a realist, the bad may outweigh the good. First of all, it's bad for ASEAN and Southeast Asian states because it is clearly splitting ASEAN. So ASEAN unity is an essential condition for ASEAN centrality, and that unity is under greater strain. We can even see it with the Code of Conduct negotiation. A single draft negotiating text is not the text of an ASEAN position and a Chinese position that will have to be negotiated. It's the position of 11 sovereign states. It is not an ASEAN-China draft at all, apart from ASEAN membership bringing Southeast Asian states in there. And without a doubt, the positions on Cambodia and Vietnam of what they would like to see if there is ever a final negotiating text will almost be as different as between Vietnam and the People's Republic. Remember, Hun Sen's that the July 2016 ruling was not internationally legal and was not binding. There's no way a Vietnamese leader would say that, and even President Duterte, who has expressed his personal love for Xi Jinping and called President Obama son of a whore, has not stated that either, and cannot constitutionally state that. So if you look at the Code of Conduct negotiations, without a doubt, there isn't a single ASEAN position, so it's not an ASEAN-China negotiation in fact. And I'm not sure there will be. That's not anything against them. Second set of problems is, I think, this current phase, this new phase for ASEAN, where there is a major power rivalry, where Southeast Asia is a major theater, diplomatically and militarily, exposes ASEAN's limitations, not weaknesses. Limitation. Former ambassador at large in Singapore, who's very colorful, Bilahari Kausikan, says ASEAN is a cow. Many people want ASEAN to be a horse. The criticisms of ASEAN are a horse. You're not jumping high enough, you're not running around quick enough. But of course, ASEAN is a cow. It produces milk and it's quite gentle and nobody's pregnant. And if you look, what are these witnesses? So first of all, as I say, going back, convening, not doing. ASEAN as an organization doesn't do very much. It convenes, and that's an action, and that's important. It's the only convening one. But to expect ASEAN to take strong positions on anything is expecting it to be a show horse and not a fact. The other one it does, ASEAN and Southeast Asian states to organize a lot of their foreign policy around ASEAN are deeply committed to formal. We have scheduled meetings, we have lots of formality, inclusive, everybody except Taiwan is invited, Mongolia as well. I think we often forget about Mongolia in the Asia Pacific, not even Indo-Pacific. It's consensus-based both within and including engagement with external partners or dialogue partners. So unless all 18 agree, we can't say anything. The formal, inclusive, consensus-based, kind of your traditional definition of multilateralism, that can equal paralysis, particularly when you have a period of great power rivalry that is full spectrum. And if you look at the Indo-Pacific formation, first of all, there's not a single Indo-Pacific concept. The Australian one is different than the Japanese, very different than the American, which is very different than the Indian one. There are a set of Indo-Pacific concepts, and Australia adopted theirs in 2013 before Donald Trump was even considered a possible president. But Australia is not an Indo-Pacific country because it's an ally of the U.S. It had its own basis of national interest. But if you look, there are four things that are common between the four evolving concepts of the Indo-Pacific, and others may join as well. One is it's informal. There are no set meetings. The quadrilateral security dialogue caused so much excitement is an unregular meeting of mid-level, not senior, mid-level officials. The last one lasted 90 minutes. ASEAN has over 2,000 of these levels of meetings every year, 2,000 of which are never seen to be a threat to anybody. But yet the Quad has been presented as some kind of containment device. I remember talking to the Australian Deputy General or Assistant Secretary who went there, and he was quite proud that his participation in a meeting could be subject to a strategic tactic. And it was only 90 minutes and not much happened, and there wasn't a joint statement after. So informal, it's mini-lateral. That means we're going to figure out which countries have similar views, and we're going to work together. It doesn't matter if you're a neighbor of mine or not. The opposite is not exclusive, but it's mini-lateral. All four countries in their different ways have a common, largely negative view of China's strategic behavior in areas that threaten them. Certainly the not being consistent with international maritime law right here. And all of this was done, each of the concepts were developed outside of ASEAN forums, no thinking about bringing them into ASEAN forums, or without discussing it with the ASEAN Secretariat or both Southeast Asian states, as was the China's Belt and Road Initiative, or even talk about a new Asian security order. So I think that shows that when real interests are at play by countries that are larger in power terms, often Southeast Asia as a whole, ASEAN is not ever going to be central to how they position themselves, particularly because as dialogue partners, they are there on the invitation of ASEAN only. So again, these are not ASEAN weaknesses, these are ASEAN limitations. All international organizations have limitations. So what can ASEAN do about this? Not much. At all. How is not a course.